don't know whether to be insulted. It's not my watch. A nice young lady gave me it. Are we ready? Cheers. Yeah. Which one of you all still owes me? You two. Maroon pants.
I got you covered, Jeff.
I just need somebody to buy a drink tonight. Y'all don't pay like it used to. Okay. So I'm excited because I'm about to talk to some directors, and I don't know. Come on, Kat. Kat had the same thing out there. You're chugging water and you're running to the restroom. Chugging water and you're running to the restroom. The line is this long. Didn't know she was a science queen. All right. Love you. She just had to put up with so much shit for 6 years. Okay, we ready? You guys got questions? You got questions? Everybody get the questions ready, all right? No one wants to hear me talk. Give me a second. I can't get it in the hole. Not the first time I said that.
Let's pair around.
All right. Everybody wonders, how the hell do you keep going this long? I'll tell you. I love it. You ready?
Yeah.
Got your questions ready? Here's what I want you to do. Because I love talking to filmmakers, man. I love talking to filmmakers. You guys like doing that? You got some questions? Good. Stand up and welcome, please, a big round of applause for Damien Leone, Greg Nicotero, and you guys big one? Go ahead and have a seat.
Wow.
They only started drinking bourbon about 7:30 a.m. Some,
I heard they make that.
holy cow, they do. And some of you didn't stop last night because I see some of your faces. And you were buying me drinks, and I appreciate it. Actually, none of you did, you cheap bastards. No one wants to hear from me now. Who wants the first question? You're going to line up over here in front of the microphone. Who wants the first question? And I seen it first. Come on up. You're the last contestant on the first, right? I guess I don't know. First victim.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Somebody come in?
For first sex.
I'm a female director, and what words of encouragement would you have for women who want to direct specifically horror, because that's the kind of stuff I write when I'm writing plays about horror. And it's a tough business to be a director for a woman. The only thing horror director I've ever had was, I'm going to slaughter her name, was Rachel Talley.
Talley.
Yeah,
Talley.
thank you.
Who was a producer at New Line.
On almost all the Nightmare films, right? She started working on those and moved up through.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, if you don't mind me tonight, it's an interesting time because we had a lot of female directors on the watch. Like, way back in the beginning, Michelle McLaren, who directed on Breaking Bad, that's how we went over to Breaking Bad. The interesting thing is that when you get into a show like Creep Show that I'm the showrunner on, finding good horror female directors is difficult because they all get snatched up really quick. A girl named Chloe Kuno, Axel Carolyn, there's a lot of female directors. The studios grab them and put them under contract because they want to sort of harvest their female directors. So there's a lot more than there was 5 years ago, and even more so. So it's really challenging because a lot of new people coming up into the ranks. You need people that experience, you need people who understand how to build scare. So it's tricky.
That's the key word. Make a movie. Make a movie with people. You know, there's no formula for success, but one of the formulas is to record what you do and put it in front of people. What are you?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Your talent's gonna speak for itself, and someone's gonna eventually, if you make something like Tom said, you put it out there, that someone's gonna find it. Someone's gonna reach out to you. I mean, that's what I did with my short films. You know, film school, I was never taught by anybody, all self-taught, and played to my strength. And you know, I was in effects first, so I had my first short film with all makeup effects.
The whole damn stage is being started. Well, as a segue to that, though, I mean, several people with special effects, makeup effects would, and Tom, I know you can talk about this, and Greg, and I'm assuming it would help direct those scenes anyway to make sure that the effect shot is working and what's appropriate, what looks good, right?
It was in my contract.
Yeah.
My contract said I direct the scenes of my effects. Yeah. Because a lot of directors don't know. These are magic tricks. And it takes a certain amount of certain language to make it work. So sometimes you have to teach a director that these are magic tricks.
Look, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that I personally think Tom redefined the way makeup effects were filmed because in the mid-70s, and it had a lot to do with his background in makeup effects and misdirection and magic, where you have the audience looking one way and then trick them into doing something else. You know, Dawn of the Dead has some of the greatest misdirection. I know a lot of people that sort of came up into the industry after Tom. You know, he still is. I'm not gonna say was.
I wouldn't say it.
We're sitting here. But it really changed everything. Like 1977, 85 was, in my opinion, the golden age of creature effects in horror movies. Like 1981, 82, every weekend, The Fog, The Thing, Creep Show. Every weekend there was another horror movie coming out, and it was the greatest. I'm so proud and grateful to have been around at that time because it changed the way movies were made, just like The Water Tentacle and The Abyss changed the way movies were made from that point onward. So Tom had a lot to do with introducing misdirection and magic as to how people film things.
Can I just say that Tom Savini is the reason why I'm here in this room right now? This is too cool. This is very rare because two things sealed my fate as a horror movie. One, my mother named me after the owner, and just introduced me to horror movies at an extremely young age. And then when I was around 7, I was already obsessed with Jason, and I had a early VHS collection. And at the beginning of Friday the 13th, Part 6, there was a coming attraction, a preview to a documentary called Screen Greats, and it is about Tom Savini doing special makeup effects. And that is the first time I ever saw what a makeup effects artist did. You're in. That's my second thing.
I don't remember there being previews for it.
Yeah, it was the only preview on there.
I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I saw it, and even Greg's in it as well as his assistant. So I grew up idolizing these guys since the time I was 7 years old. So now this is a wonderful kind of full circle moment. These tonight.
Full circle, I agree. Especially with Greg here. You guys.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Tom, yes, you paved the way, it's great, and without you, there's so many things that wouldn't have been done. My question is kind of for all of you. You paved the way for the magic, for the effects, for real. What do you guys think now about CGI? And everything's changing the way movies are done now. And I like the old way. I mean, I loved it, how it changed over time. And I just kind of wanted to know your guys' opinion on how.
I kind of like it when it's done well. I wish I had it when I needed to hide an edge or, but today a lot of it is an economic example. In one of Greg's Walking Dead episodes, all the characters were hitting the head and got into the trough. They didn't even put appliances on those people. The visual effects guys just erased the two people after. And so that was, and if I had to tear Joe Pilato in half again, it would take 6 hours. It was there. So CGI blood is sometimes an economic.
Yeah, I like it to augment the practicals, big time. Like I use them.
That's the best effects.
Yeah.
Combination of practical and CGI, which is what Greg does a lot.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
No, but I mean, it's interesting. And it's different between, and I think I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. On Walking Dead, which we've been doing for 14 years, it's not a movie schedule. You have 8 days. So I remember in season 1, Frank Darabont wanted a lot of the blood hits to be practical. So we rigged up this little practical funnel that went up the back of the zombie's clothes and a little rig that went off camera. And they could step on it and it would blow all the blood out of the back of the head. Like when Morgan's in his room looking out and he's shooting the zombies, that was all practical head explosions. We didn't even have time to put squib because it would have taken too long. But after a while, we realized we didn't have time to clean the blood up for take 2. Because if you have to change the costume on everybody, it takes 25 minutes. They're like, we have 8 days to shoot the whole episode. So it became, for us, a necessity almost. And it's like Tom was saying, when we did the trough sequence, it was season 5, episode 1 for Walking Dead, I literally said, I don't have time to put appliances on all these actors. So I designed a little rig that we could get instantaneous blood spray by just turn the valve on and you turn it off, on off, and the blood would go, and then they just went in and erased it too. Again, it still had an element of practical application to it. So the idea of being able to augment things, and we do it now even more than ever. There was a zombie that we did. It was really the only big gag in Dead City, where Maggie sees this zombie, all these zombies melded together, crawls towards her, and then leans up. And it's like 5 zombies melded together. And everybody was like, how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? I said, look, put 2 guys in green bodysuits, and they can walk next to the guy. They can operate the arms. So when we shot the scene, there were 3 people in the shot, like right here with green suits, like, while the zombies were doing all the stuff. And all they had to do was erase it. So I'm a big fan for erasing puppeteers out of shots versus doing an entire CG character.
What we did from dusk till dawn was a scene where me and Juliette Lewis were staking vampire on the floor. And Greg was down there with a condom. One guy held one end and the other guy, and Greg would
Slingshot.
fill the blood, pull it back, fire blood. So he was going to fire at me when I staked the zombie. I said, don't get that in my hair. I'm going to have to wear it for the rest of the movie. Right in my fucking head. I had to wear it for the rest of the movie.
Vampire movie. Robert Rodriguez was behind him going, "Get in his fucking head." Well, look, I fucking signed up for the job.
This is so much fun.
Who's next question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just go ahead and stay.
Just stay there.
Yeah.
Was Norman with me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got in so much trouble for that. I'll tell you later.
Well, hell, that's the story I want to hear.
That's right. I do. I do.
They describe it down to it.
Yeah, look, stars. I got.
Where's yours?
Oh, that happens all the time. Now that I'm on the spot though, I mean, there's so much collaboration, like with Dave and Terrifier, with Art. Come up with an idea on the spot, like, oh yeah, that's great. Oh, like him giving Sam the finger in and when she stabs him in the foot in Terrifier 1, and she runs away and then he gives her the finger. Like I would have never written that for Martin, and he just did it on set. I think I actually yelled cut, and the camera was still rolling. She was walking back and gave her the finger. Oh yeah, and then I was like watching the footage when I was editing it. I heard everybody laugh. I was like, oh, if they laughed there on set, they might laugh. The audience might like it. But yeah, there's so many moments, so many collaborative moments where you take something like that. It's the last thing you think.
Well, this is about directing. A good director listens to everybody. I mean, not necessarily do everything somebody says. Somebody might have the craft service person might have a good idea. Good director listens and will use it if it's a good idea.
But I'm going to say but because it's also, it takes a lot. Like when you're directing a movie or a TV show, you get the script, and for me, I see in pictures. So when I read the script, I imagine this frame, this frame, this frame. I see it in photos. And a lot of times, when you're working with a production designer, makeup artist, costume designer, they see it in pictures too. So it's imagine you're like at a crime scene, and there's all these photos up on the wall. And some of them are yours, and some of them are somebody else's, and some of them are someone. Sometimes it gets overwhelming. It gets to be a lot. So the challenge is, and I know these guys can speak to it, is you have to weed through it. And sometimes you have to throw your photo away for somebody else's photo. And that takes a lot. Like for me, I found myself on Walking Dead, the writers would write scripts and they would send the scripts in and I would pitch ideas. And then sometimes they wouldn't do my ideas. And somebody said to me once, like, you really need to listen to the writers more. I said, well, the truth of the matter is, we've done that gag 7 times. I'm an executive producer on the show. My ideas are also valid. So it's a little difficult to take an idea that you gestated, that you birthed while you were reading it, and throw it away. And budgetarily, that happens all the time.
It's called killing your children.
Yeah, and you said that. I remember Tom has said to me a lot of times, like, you bring everything up, and then you got to start, especially when you're on set and you're wrapping it. If the sun's coming up, it's happened fucking 1,000 times on The Walking Dead. We have a siege, and Alexandria is being raided, and Rick and everybody are up against the wall, and there's zombies coming, and then everybody comes to save the day. And you're like, all right, you have 30 minutes to shoot that whole scene because the sun is really coming up, and one actor has to get on a plane, and you have to literally throw 2 months of planning out the window and figure out how to shoot it in half an hour.
Big directors do that. James Cameron on The Abyss. There was a scene in The Abyss where this huge tsunami waterfall was coming. An incredible scene. You cut it to save time. Killing your children.
I didn't kill any of my children on Terrifier 2. That's why it's 2 hours and 20
Before we move on,
Wait, I have to.
Milwaukee story.
Okay,
We want to hear that, right?
So,
Yeah.
It's not the greatest story, but what happened was a friend of mine said, hey, we're interested in doing like a very intimate evening with The Walking Dead. And we did a tour of like 4 or 5 cities. And it was on stage in front of like what, 3,000 people or something? A bunch, it was like me, Michael Rooker, Steven, Lauren Cohan, we switched it every, so we did 4 or 5 of these. And I had gone to AMC and said, hey, we're gonna do this thing. And they went, yeah, it sounds great. And then when the promoter started advertising it, AMC went, wait, what are you doing? And I said, oh, it's this thing. And they're like, no, you can't do that. We had already booked it. So they changed it, just a night with Cohan and Regis and McTerra. So they got really angry with me because they thought that I was like marketing the show and I was trying to do something which I wasn't. It just was, they had sort of forgotten that I had told them that this idea came up. So we did it and I got really in trouble, like the head of AMC, really annoyed. And I said, I just made you about 15,000 new fans. Promotion is promotion, you know, as long as you're not getting canceled or groping somebody, I think you're. Well, there was one where like it turned into like everybody started jumping on it. It turned into almost like a little mini free-for-all. And I think Michael Rooker was there and Steven, and it was like so rowdy. It's like a concert. No, guys, it's just a TV show.
Right back there, she has a question.
Can you hear me from back here or do you need to come up there?
Yeah,
We got you.
So you think stage performance are really good at protection. First off, I love all three so much. I could have seen them out. But so I'm a big fan of the YouTube channel that and their skill counts. I just want to know from each of you guys, like, what is your favorite skill that you've done in something you directed? And that may be hard, because like trying to pick your favorite kid, but like, I just want to know what your favorite is, and maybe that might help.
Well, that would be a question for someone who's directed like 15 things. I've only directed one feature film, Night of the Living Dead. So that has to be a favorite.
Well, like, which one's your favorite that you've done makeup for?
Oh, well, let's see.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Creep Show, Day of the Dead. I mean, Creep Show was 5 little movies. Day of the Dead, you know, someone else was in that. So, yeah, but even, well, here we go. See, they're all my children. All the Dawn of the Dead effects, you know, hard to pick that. Yes, hard to pick the favorite.
I think the bedroom, the alley filter, just because I knew it was going to be a big deal. We had to rival the Hacksaw scene. Terrifier 1. It was just a lot of pressure. It was like 5 whole days to shoot that one little sequence because again, it was just me doing all the makeup effects and just for the scalping. I mean, that took like 3 hours just to apply that and then go shoot it and then get her in the next stage. So it was really, really difficult. But again, that scalping was me paying tribute to Maniac, which is Tom Savini. And the Stockholm reaction too, was a tribute to Maniac.
Everything's a tribute.
Everything.
I've scalped some people in my time. I was going to say, on Inglourious Basterds, we scalped a lot of people in my time. So all of us, this should be a panel about scalping.
But
I would say
that scalping, the Inglourious Basterds scalping is pretty intense. Like, that's worth telling. That's really
well, okay. We'll go to a makeup effects panel for a second. Then we'll go back to that. So what's funny about that was Quentin directs. Actually, Quentin, like talking about Quentin Tarantino as a director versus someone like Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez is very technical. All movies, a lot of visual effects, CGI. When we did Sin City, it was all virtual green screen. Like we had one set which was bar, but like all the scenes with Mickey Rourke and Bruce Willis and Benicio del Toro, all those actors were all shot separately. And then on green screen, they were put together with digital backgrounds. So Robert was one of the fucking first people to ever do that. It might have been before Phantom Menace, I'm not sure, but Robert did it. Like Sin City still like is a landmark in terms of that kind of filming. Then you have somebody like Quentin, and it's all about his actors. He will rehearse with his actors for weeks shot the opening of Django Unchained. There, when Christoph comes upon the slaves and Jamie Foxx. That scene's about 9 minutes long. We shot 3 weeks to shoot that scene because Quentin, not only does he love making movies, he's never going to be on set going, hurry up, we have to get the shot. He's going to relish every second of it. Let's shoot that way. Let's shoot this way. But with Inglourious Basterds, Quentin, and especially like the car crash in Grindhouse, is probably one of my favorite effects that I've ever done. And in the script, it's like, oh, the 2 cars hit and all hell breaks loose. And then it's up to us to figure out what the director wants. Sometimes you'll pitch ideas to the director. Sometimes the director will say, yeah, I don't know, I'm not really sure. Or the director is very, very specific. This is exactly what I want to see. So with Quentin, we did a makeup test of scalping in Los Angeles before I even went to Berlin. We did and I peeled the skin back. And he was like, okay, look, that looks great. I went to Berlin. I showed all the actors how we did it and how to do it so that they could all do it correctly. We shot the whole sequence, and then we go to stage like 2 months later, and we're shooting the insert, the close-up of the scalping. And Quentin goes, you just direct that shot. He said, you know what I want. You already did it. You just do it. So they were shooting the La Louisiane, the 3 versus the 3 with all the actors. And I had a camera, and I was the guy doing the scalping on Jake Garber, who's the makeup artist on the show. So I implanted sort of in his head early on, here's an example of what we can do. And then he went, yeah, that looks great. But like on Grindhouse, Quentin really was sort of like, look, just show me what you would do. And we never really talked specifically. And I learned a really, really valuable lesson. Sorry, this is really long.
No, keep going.
I learned a really valuable lesson working with Quentin. Was we were working on Django, and there's a scene where Jamie Foxx is being tortured and he's hung upside down by his. And this was like June. We weren't shooting that scene until the next February. We have a production meeting, we're doing a page turn. And I say to Quentin, I'm like, okay, so what do you want to see here? And he went, I don't fucking know. I don't shoot it until February. Like, I'm not there yet. I'm here. I'm not there. And
He's living in this.
he was living in that. He was living in the moment of like, working with my actors. This is the scene. And that was a really valuable lesson for me. Because a lot of times, special effects artists have to have that collaboration with the director early on because they need time to build it. But also you have to allow the director the time, the space to be in that moment when he's ready to like prep that. Talking about a movie that shoot over a year. And I remember thinking, it's the wrong time for me to ask that question. What I should do otherwise is approach it as if I was directing this. So I built this dummy, I built this ring, I built that, and then Quentin came to the shop a couple months later. And he was, all right, what do we got? And I walked him through. Here's the dummy of Jamie. Here's this. Here's that. Camera here. Camera there. You put the camera there. And this all happened after I had directed my first Walking Dead episode. So I re-evaluated how I approached makeup effects from a director's standpoint. And I think that was a really unique lesson for me to learn that I would have never done if I hadn't started in the effects industry, to start thinking like a director. And I think all of us have to think, you have to think like a director. You have to think how it's going to be filmed. Well, blah, blah, blah. I'm a soft.
If I can say something about thinking like a director, I'm sure you guys will agree. If there's any upcoming filmmakers out there, any potential directors, a director doesn't just point the camera at the action. Okay, here's what a director does. Good directors. I'm going to use Spielberg. Here's 3 examples. In E.T., if you watch E.T., every camera angle in E.T., almost every single camera angle is from this high off the ground. This is how tall you are when you're 12 years old. He made you a kid. He made you one of the kids by placing the camera this high off the ground. And you really became one of the kids. I cry every time I see E.T., and it's a fucking puppet. Because he manipulated you. You are a kid by the time that NC comes. In Cold Blood, Robert Blake is handcuffed against the window. He's about to be hanged. He's lamenting about his life and what went on. And the director made it rain against the window. And the reflection of the rain was falling down Robert Blake's face as if they were tears. This is what a director thinks of. Things like this. You don't learn this stuff in film school. In Raging Bull, Scorsese kept the camera in the ring for the fights that De Niro was in. The ring fights, he put the camera outside. Now, you may not have known or felt that or seen that, but it did an effect. It had an emotional effect on you. And that's what a good director does. He makes you feel something, okay, by the way the stuff is shot.
I was gonna say, I was gonna bring up Scorsese because he's one of my heroes, and that was the first director where I realized, oh, he's essentially, the style was so strong, and I was like, oh, he's essentially starring in his movies every time, well, from behind the camera, because the moves are so bold. He forces you to look at them. He forces you to just see like swish pans and freeze frames and these fast moves, like push-ins to the actors and everything like that. I'm like, oh, you could really create your own style, have your own signature, your stamp, your film. You know, a lot of filmmakers, they don't do that. I mean, that's a really ballsy move. I mean, you got to be good or else it could be a disaster. But it depends on, you know, it's so cool just to see how many different styles there are and who's more, who's more, what's the word? I don't know. But Scorsese's just, yeah, he's just one of the best. Yeah, he really changed my whole perspective on filmmaking.
Oh, another thing Spielberg had was in Close Encounters, when the spaceship is landing outside the farmhouse and the little boy is looking out the window, he's got this look of pure enchantment on his face because Spielberg had hired furries, people dressed as rabbits and ducks, to dance outside the window. So the kid was to get that reaction, he thought of doing that.
Never heard that.
But I don't think they called them furries then. Maybe I'm wrong.
But you have people in animal content. And they're furries.
So wait, so you cry every time you see?
Yes.
Right. Like show you a picture of
No,
me.
well,
No. Cry, Tom, cry. See, I'm being a director of manipulating him into emotions I don't want to have.
But it's quick asking questions before you.
All right, I think we need questions. But you all are just doing shtick. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
Oh, we did that, excellent, knocked out the ballpark moment, but also, what's been your biggest, oh shit, we fucked that up.
So when did you fuck?
Let me start on that. I don't think any artist ever looks at their work and fuck yeah, man, I killed that. You can't. You always you want another take. You know, the sun was setting and they pulled the plug and you just needed one more. I don't know. I mean, you can be mature enough to be. I mean, I'm calling a lot of the work that I've done, and as a 6th-year guy, I still learn every day. Every time I direct, I've been in Francis Norman for a year, and I was like, hey, I'm not directing anyone this season, so I'll be your 2nd unit director. And I had a drone flying over fucking Paris and shooting stuff, and I loved every second of it. But that's a hard question because you tend to really have, artists have a really negative reaction when somebody throws tomatoes at their painting. You know what I mean?
Well, let me interject that a real artist is never done. You'll work on it forever. But this business is a deadline. It has to be done.
Films are not finished, they're abandoned, right? It's a famous saying. I cringed through everything I made. Like what Greg said, like I could only go back and look at scenes from my movies that I'm happy with. It's almost impossible for me to sit down and watch something I've made from start to finish. It's so painful. But you learn from the mistakes. A lot of people don't do this. I read everything. every critique.
Yeah, I do too.
Every critique.
That's the worst thing in the world.
But I listen to it. I think it's it's invaluable. You can,
I
yeah.
love you.
If there's-
People I fucking hate.
Well, sure, it's painful. But if there's a unanimous note, right, you just keep seeing it every time. This didn't work. This didn't work. That's like, you could use that to make your next work so much better. The next thing you make. So I think that's a benefit that filmmakers didn't really have a long time ago, because you get the nastiest shit. The truth, is out there.
But how do you avoid just reading the trolls and just people who are just drinking haterade?
But you can see, like I said, there's going to be a consensus. You can tell who's a troll and who's nasty, or who's giving, constructive criticism. You just see that resounding note over and over. I probably should listen to that. Doesn't mean you have to, but.
That's a mature attitude. It's hard for it's harder for me, I think, to do that, because the comments, generally speaking, there's people that just want to be assholes just to be assholes. And unfortunately, if I look at, look, I've shot 4 seasons of Creep Show, and I've directed, I don't know, 40 episodes of The Walking Dead and probably 20 segments, and they're all different. I think the one experience that I've had on Creep Shows, every episode is different. I want the show to be different. I want the show to be different. I want the style to be different. Sometimes we use Romero lighting and comic book backgrounds, and then other times we go for some straight stuff. And then I read somebody going, "Oh well, the show sucks and the creatures are terrible," and I was like. But I really I maybe I'm just too sensitive to read that.
That's all right. You're doing great.
I gotta stop.
You all are fantastic. Yeah, somebody got a question.
I'll confess on myself really quick, I'm not a horror fan.
What the hell are you doing here, everyone?
I'm wearing a horror form.
I'm sure you've seen horror movies, though. If you had to choose, which one do you like the most? So it just spoke to you, connected with that.
I don't want to tell her, but Terrifier. I was just
No,
You're just saying that. I should have gone.
the $20 is out there.
I thought you were going to say like Psycho or something.
Have you seen Psycho?
Yes, I have seen.
All right, then you.
Not being a fan of the genre, as a spring group last year, like, hey, watch Terrifier, and I was like, okay, I'll like watch it. 90 minutes later, I've just watched a lady get chopped in half, maybe a bird. So we do that to prepare for Terrifier. The first 5 minutes, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. It's horror. I'm not gonna have a good time, but here I am. And then the scene with Sienna, and that opening montage, that craft scene, music, everything, I was like, I'm invested. By the end of Terrifier 2, I felt like the 11-year-old when I watched Lord of the Rings. So it was just like, what?
Whoa, what the hell? I do know her. I didn't say all that.
That hat is not going to be able to fit.
Oh my God. Listen, I just knew Terrifier, the original, was so simplistic, and it's almost like a proof of concept for Mark the Clown. So basic, but it worked and it got people's attention, and that's been my whole journey. Was just like I said, just packing my short films out with effects, trying to get people's attention. Right? I can't write dialogue like Tarantino or Kevin Smith. You're never going to see me just put 2 people at a table and just have an amazing dialogue. Like I'm gonna shock you with something. So now that I had the audience's attention, right, and they sort of gravitated toward art, now I really had to step my game up, and it was time to craft a story and introduce protagonists that you could really sort of sympathize with or empathize with, and that was my main goal with that movie. And then Terrifier 2 is really Sienna's movie, in my opinion. And she's actually my favorite character that I ever wrote. She's a very personal character. I based her on a lot of people in my life, like a lot of my sisters, like their personality traits and a lot of vulnerable stuff with me that I put. And you have to be really vulnerable as a writer. The more vulnerable you are, the more people are they can tell and they're gonna relate to your work a lot more. You can tell you're not being vulnerable.
What about the confidence from the first to the second?
I would say, I don't know. Going into any movie, I'm a wreck. Nervous wreck. Thinking about everything that could go wrong, or it was just a fluke that this one worked. So this one, and especially this one now, I had to, like I said before, I had to top the hack stuff. And it's really hard to come up with new ways to kill people. That's why I was taking what they already did and just putting a spin on it. That's really all you can do. But I was confident. My safety net was I was confident in Art the Clown. Like I could write that character. Like I just know everything about that character, and I'm confident with what Dave brings to it. I'm confident with the humor that we add. I just feel really good. So as long as I have Art the Clown hacking people up, that's gonna get me halfway there. And then I could take chances and really swing for the fences with the other things. Like I knew bringing in the supernatural element was gonna really be very polarizing to a lot of people. But I like taking bold chances. That's the only way it's really gonna pay you off. You gotta be risky, or else.
Well, it's interesting. I was working with John Carpenter on In the Mouth of Madness. And now, by the way, that was a great job. I love that you think you're not a horror fan. You're full of shit, by the way. Because you are. You know it. But anyway, you said something that was interesting because we were working on In the Mouth of Madness, and John and I were going out to dinner one night. And we were talking about directing. And I said, how would you sum up what it's like to direct a movie? And he said, well, I used to fly helicopter all the time. John loved flying helicopter. And he said, I stopped doing it. He said, why? He said, because when you fly a helicopter, if you lose power in the helicopter, you drop out of the sky and crash. So the entire experience of flying a helicopter is looking for somewhere to crash. So you fly over, there's a parking lot, there's a street, there's a field. When you're flying a helicopter, you're always looking ahead as to where you're going to crash. And that's what directing is like. Directing is when you're on set, you have to know what's going to go wrong because it's going to go wrong. One of your actors went to the wrong set, or the fucking camera has a malfunction, or there's somebody picketing outside, or anything, any 10,000 things that can happen. And I love that analogy because as a director, you have to know where you're going to crash before you crash and how to stop yourself from crashing. And every time you direct, that's why I was asking about confidence. Every time you direct, you get more confident in where you're going to crash, and that you'll land the thing without flames.
Would you say that has to do with, as a director, you always have to have a cutaway? What's my cutaway shot? Or you get yourself buried in the
Well, but that's more editorial though. A lot of times you have to think like an editor. You got to cut out of a shot, or if coverage isn't working and you're missing a reaction from an actor who's supposed to react. You have to think that way, but that's part of your shot list. I'm just talking about something you would never ever expect to happen.
Yeah. But George would say that too. He would say his style was to cover your ass, right? Make sure you get all these cutaways and all these shots in case. Yeah, you're stuck.
But George also had a very documentary filmmaking style.
His style changed drastically over
It
time.
did. But
Yeah.
if you look at Dawn of the Dead, the camera never moved. A lot of filmmakers like Scorsese were talking about the shot in Goodfellas where we follow Ray Liotta through the restaurant all the way up to the stage. They come out with the table and they lay the tablecloth down. You feel like you're part of it. When you watch Dawn of the Dead, I think there's one dolly shot in that entire movie.
I know the shot too.
You know exactly the
Yeah.
shot.
It's when after they kill all the zombies and they're off.
That's right.
Yeah,
God love you. That's right.
Nerds.
I was.
You're welcome.
No, I was terrified you were going to point out stuff that I didn't know. But the way, that's the way the camera goes. We're
Oh
being
my
played
God.
off. But the way the story with the way the camera moves. It shows.
And honestly, unfortunately, with that, do you have time to do one quick question? One more, okay. Tom says one more and he's the boss.
Quick question for you. What maybe old school horror makes you jump out of bed and say, damn it, I want to make another movie? Universal, Hammer horror, silent film, is there anything that really stands out? Makes you
Can
want
we
to make a
turn those
horror?
lights off?
Yeah, I don't know if you turned them on. If somebody got on the switch.
Does it have to be old school horror?
No.
Not necessarily, I just was thinking in terms of that, maybe people have.
Well, your point of view is based on your experience. The
Yeah.
more you have of that, the more, you have more tools in your toolbox. How about another quick one?
Yeah.
Well, wait, real quick. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I want to address that.
Oh, no. There, leave it. Don't touch the damn thing. Please stop touching the light. Damien just touched me. Okay, forgive me. Touch the light.
But look, I mean, just to add a real quick thought to that, you know, inspiration is so personal. Like the things that you watch, you know, and the things that make you want to go out and make another movie. You know, I was part of a documentary that I saw a couple weeks ago. It was King on Screen, I think. It was all interviews with everybody that's directed a Stephen King project. I was fortunate enough to be a part of it with Frank Darabont and Mike Flanagan, and we, you know, Dee Wallace was in it, and Crosby talked about that. All of Stephen King's movies, and listening to those filmmakers talk about the process. We walked out and I went, "Fuck, I want to make another movie." It wasn't the movie that made me want to do it. It was hearing about the directors recounting their process of making Shawshank Redemption. And I was like, God, that feeling of being on set and being around creative people. It's fucking intoxicating. So it wasn't a movie, but it was that, just getting that vibe from those filmmakers. So maybe we're inspiring you guys here.
And with that, I'm so sorry, I have to cut it. But they're going to be at the table all weekend. It was an absolute pleasure for me. Please give it up for Daniel Leon, Tom Comedian, Greg Nicotero.
People having fun? Yeah. Good Lord, I'm having fun. Yeah.
How is everyone? Do I got another panel ending? What do you think? Yeah, you're right. I can do this. All right. So we got about 10 minutes to go. Now, really quick as we roll everybody in. Love it, having a good time, but we have got a hard out in about 40 minutes for this panel, okay? Because there's going to be addition in this room to one night. So if we don't get through all of your questions, I apologize. Most of the people that are going to be on this panel is going to be here tomorrow, so make sure that you just stop by and see them. But I do have to kind of end it right at 6:40 or something like that, okay? Are we good? Yeah. Can I go to the bathroom and come back? Yeah. Thank you.
Wash your hands.
Hey, Joe, how many people stable here?
How many people are where? It's cat night. Well, no, she left me. Come back, kitty. What'd you say? How many people are in the next one? I don't know. Maybe if I count it. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 people coming to the next one.
We are in Kentucky, right?
No. Well, and hold on. I thought you were just high and wondering where we were this weekend. Which would not be the first time she's asked me that question. Welcome to New Brunswick. No, honey, don't anyone but me. Hey, you all against the wall. There's some chairs up here. There's some people who were a little touchy, but I think we can fit some. Who wants somebody to come sit with them? All right, there's a bunch of dudes raising their hands. Always creepy. We have some chairs in here. Come on, sit around. Move down. I want everybody to be comfortable. And for God's sakes, let's keep people off that wall and the stupid lights. Although that was fantastic. And Damien loved it when I said, would you please put your hand back on me?
That was the first time it happened either. It happened when you walked out on the other panel.
I just walked out.
You walked out and the lights went off, and I was like, how you doing?
You've been hanging around with somebody way too much. Cheers, by the way. Who here's already about half in the bag? Maybe the bag and another, yeah. Cheers, this is water. Where are you going? And why are you looking at me that way? Why are you leaving? Oh, she winked at me! It wasn't a dude. I don't think it was a dude. It looked like a dude. It's not a sleepaway camp thing, is it? All right, a groaner on that of all the damn jokes I have done over the years. You guys groaned on the chick with dick joke. Really?
Not check under the hood.
I just want somebody to treat me like a princess. Pretty princess.
You gotta put a pink dress on for a second.
I don't think I look good in pink. But maybe I should try it. You know, we only have one more of these, and then you and I get to party. I prefer you did.
No sign language. Be careful.
You gotta wear socks? No socks? Who's gonna be at the VIP or the after party and all that stuff tonight? I'll give a little more of excitement for that. Good. Good. We'll have a good time. I think I'll be there if I make it. Where are we at again? New Brunswick? Lexington, forget it.
Connecticut. Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Hey, Jerry. This big guy right here.
Why is it always the dudes? Holy shit. Okay, how many kids do we have in here? Can I? She's got earphones on. Headphones on. Why does it? I know, but actually, I have a kid, and I actually try not to curse on them, believe it or not, damn it. Are we ready? All right, let's get it going. I'm going to come out here, and then I'll hold this joke for later. Thank you so much, kid.
One thing to announce, there's gonna be a hard stop at 6:45 because there's a magic show that goes on here at 7. We have to pull the tables off the stage and allow the magician to get his stuff set up. Then after that is the ticketed podcast. So, talk scary to me.
Did everyone hear that?
Yep.
Do I have to sign that?
You go back to step 1. Go back to step 1.
You guys want to do like sign?
I mean, I know one sign, but it's bad.
Oh, we need to see this voice for another 40 minutes. Let's blow the hell out of it. You ready?
Yeah!
This is the last panel tonight, and I am so excited for this, but it's going to take a minute to read everybody's name. Once again, what is your job?
Stand up.
Say it again, sweetie. Stand up and yell! Yeah! they are home. So come on in, Nick Castle, James Juice. Please stay here, Jennifer here. You know what? We may actually have a bigger crowd than we did for Jaws and Richard Drops. I'm just going to blow your all's heads a little bit. This is, yeah, it's pretty crowded. We're going to have to head it off in the back. This is amazing.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, fuck Steven Spielberg. I mean, it's not like I'm going to eventually interview him anyway. All right, everybody have a seat. Now, none of you want to hear me talk, correct? Assholes. What we're going to do is start asking questions. I want to know who my bravest, most, or best question is. Who wants to go first? Oh, Freddie in the back. All right. Do you want to come to the microphone or do you want to scream it from there? It's up to you, bud. Well, get your ass up here. We don't have all day. Look at all these people.
Get up here.
I've met Robert. You could do that better. Come on now.
Get your burnt ass up here.
Somebody's going to kick my fat ass later. All right. There you go.
I want to say very, very much honored. Testing.
You got it, John?
There we go. By the way, Nick, you were my very first slasher I ever watched.
I remember
Huge
it when
honor.
you did.
Thank you. Love Halloween 2018. Now started watching Terrifier 1 2. My question is for Mr. James Gordian.
Hold on, let's pause for 1 second. I think we have a Doug Bradley here. Am I wrong? Oh my God! What a Doug Bradley here! I'm sorry, Mr. Bradley, come in and have a seat.
Yeah.
I'm nobody. Don't worry about shaking my hand.
Apologize for being fashionably late. Miss Rose is in the ladies. Joining us shortly. These are huge in the ladies. These days you never can tell. Welcome. Yes.
Hello.
RV, sir.
All right, Freddie, go with your question.
All right. So yeah, like I said, James, or the rest of you guys, what was the challenge like, especially you can use like Halloween Kills example, making that film after COVID was kind of passing through the challenges and struggle with that?
Oh man, you know, the challenge wasn't making the film. I mean, because you know, the challenge was more for the crew, more for and you know, part of the beauty of making film is because it's so all encompassing. You know, we're spending 12, 14, 16 hours a day. We're really just encapsulated. We're cloistered. Part of the joy of doing a film like that is having my partner Sarah come and visit, having family come visit. You know, her father flew in from England, and I hadn't met him yet, and we couldn't bring him on the set. And you know, so that you know, the balancing the discomfort of wearing a mask with the realization that other people might not, you know, secure immune systems. So you'll find on a movie set though that generally speaking, a movie set is incredibly courteous, incredibly inspiring and uplifting. When you have 120, 160, 180 people working together in that intense pressure cooker, we go out of our way to be courteous to each other. You know, whether it's 6 in the morning or 6 at night, everybody greets you with good morning, Doug, good morning, Nick, good morning. I mean, you know, when you're being called to the set to work, it's not, hey, get Nick to the set. It's like, you know, would you please invite Nick Castle to the set? So we'll knock on the door and say, Mr. Castle, you're invited to the set. You know, when you get to the set, it's welcome, Mr. Castle. Well, not really, but for everybody else. So, you know,
How do you get to work on these movies? You are invited to set?
invited to set.
We need you now.
Well, I guess, Doug, when you hang in a trailer for 15 hours, you know, drinking bourbon and don't bother showing up, I guess they're like, get Doug's ass down here.
This is going out on YouTube, by the way. You might like to retract that allegation.
And hold on, I need to pause you guys for a second because we have another killer on the loose. Felissa Rose, come on. We'll give her just as much love as you give each other fine gentlemen.
So were you in the men's room or the women's room?
I was both. One of these things is not like the other, gentlemen.
No,
Thank you for having me. I appreciate all of you.
all right, next victim.
Doug, for you, James, the rumors of the next movie, you two are involved in the next Halloween. Have they contacted you?
Rumors,
Yes.
and you believe them?
I'm going to be in the next Halloween.
Yes.
You holding out on me, Doug? You holding out on me?
Well, I didn't want to tell you. But, I don't know where the fuck that came from. Ah, right. Now, crossed wires. Here's the story. We go back to when Freddy vs. Jason was being released. At that point, I knew for a fact that Dimension had been offered. There were rumors at the time as well that the sequel was going to feature a Pinhead as well. And I had to explain often to fans that this was not going to happen because New World, New Line owned Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. They did not own Hellraiser. Hellraiser was owned by Dimension Films, which was a subsection of Miramax, who hated New Line. So that was and I know for a fact that in the year before Freddy vs. Jason came out, Dimension also owned the Halloween franchise. So they could do Hellraiser Halloween crossover. I know they were offered 2 scripts and they turned them down because they said Freddy vs. Jason was a stupid idea and it wouldn't work. Freddy vs. Jason was released and it stomped all over the box office, and I believe it became the first movie that year to stay at the top of the box office for 2 weekends in a row. So of course Monday morning, Dimension Films is in chaos because they want the Hellraiser Halloween crossover movie made tomorrow. And it was happening. And I had a phone call from Clive Barker, who said they've approached me about this. They've asked me to write it. And I told them I would write it on condition that I had you and John Carpenter to direct it. And John said, I was told, I will direct it if Clive Barker writes it. So they had their A-list in place, and it was going ahead. I was very excited. Huge fan of John Carpenter's work, always, and would have loved the chance to work with him. A couple of conversations with Clive about it. He said, I'm not really interested in the mano and mano thing versus thing bit. What I'm interested in is where the landscapes intertwine. Given that Michael is a psychosexual, fucked up killer with a bad relationship.
I resemble that remark.
With a questionable attitude towards his sister. Clive said to me, I think there may be enough in there for us for Pinhead to be interested. If you remember at the beginning, the first Halloween, Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, is running around screaming in everybody's face, you don't know what you're dealing with, you don't know what you're dealing with, you don't know what you're dealing with. Until, as an audience, you start to panic slightly. Think, what the hell are we dealing with? Which raised the supernatural element of the character, which made it as well. So I was getting quietly excited, and then, if you remember, the Akkad brothers produced the first Halloween movie, Musti Aka, was tragically killed in a terrorist attack. He presumably had enough control over what was happening in the sequels. He said, no, I don't want this movie happening. And that was it, dead in the water. I think that may be what you're hearing. But if anyone was planning to put me in the next Halloween movie, that would be lovely. I know nothing about it. I did mention when Donald Pleasance died while we were shooting Bloodline. I did say the opening of your next Halloween film is Dr. Loomis's funeral. And the mourners leave, and there's one mourner left who's back to the camera. And somebody says, Dr. Loomis. And that person turns around, and it's me playing Dr. Loomis's son.
All right, thank you for the question. Next victim, come on down. Got one waiting line. Yeah, we got a lot of people in here, so if you want to line up behind the camera over here, not you, Jay. Come on,
Keep going.
That's how you know he's a Scarefest super fan, because it's like, that's Jay. I'm terrible with names.
So David, in about 7 years, you've gone from obscure to one of the biggest icons in horror now. How are you handling that?
It's still surreal. I'm like, right now, I'm just kind of fanboying out. I'm here with like my legends, my childhood. I'm like, this is amazing. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, we were. That's the thing. It's like so many of us that are, that the big monsters. We all started off as films, and it's like it's something that I never expected to happen in my life. I mean, when we started making Terrifier, we're like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Who knows if anybody's gonna see this thing? We made it for $35,000. So it's like, this is insane. So we hope people like this. Maybe our moms. So it's been a testament to like the power that you come to us and the power of a fan base has happened. I'm like, this past year, especially for us, has been a major just mind blow. It's just like we're only supposed to be in the theaters for like 500 theaters for 3 days last year, and we just kept going week after week after week. And it's because the fans were going out there and talking about the movie. It's like we probably had the best publicity campaign that was free because people are passing out the film, and this is insane. People are like, oh, this is all paper. Like, no, we don't have that kind of budget. It's insane, but it shows the power of the fan community, what we can really accomplish, because like our film wasn't limited by like what Doug was saying with the Hollywood studios coming in and having input and stuff like that. We could just do what we wanted to do, because all of us that made Terrifier are fans of all the films that came before us. I look at art as being a love letter to all the slasher icons that came before, and there's a little bit of every single character inside the art. And it's to us to be able to be up here with the legends is just amazing. It's all thanks to you guys, so thank you. Thank you.
All right. Minnie Mouse is our next.
First of all, it's an honor to be here. I think I speak for everybody in here. It's such an honor. Nick, I met you yesterday in a ride. I don't know if you remember. But my question's for you, obviously. So, there's been a hoopla of Halloween people. So many. Were you ever approached to do any of them? And then if you did, why didn't you?
Well, after the first one, I went on to be a writer-director and kind of got involved with my own movies. So John and the team went on their merry way. So there was really never a moment, other than the fact that Deborah came back to me when they were about to do Halloween 2 and said, "Do you have the mask? Because we can't figure out how to do it." For
for some reason, whatever, the other masks were gone or ruined or something. And I went, yeah, it's right over there on the piano. I had it on styrofoam thing, and she took it and she said, I'll bring it right back. How many years ago was that? That was my only experience with that. And then when David, before, while I think James was, they were figuring out how to do the shape in 2018 for the David Gordon Green trilogy. And my agent for these shows, Sean Clark, many of you probably know of him, the thing with two heads and all that kind of stuff. He's great. He got a call and asking him, which one of your clients might be interested in playing the 40-year-older Michael Myers? And he said, well, there is a 40-year-old Michael Myers called Nick Castle. And they said, would he be interested at all? And he went, let me check. So he went and checked with me. After a little round of thinking about it, talking to David on the phone, I realized they needed someone with a little bit more muscle and stamina in the show. And I said, you know what, it would be fun. Excuse me. Fun to do a cameo or something like that. And that's where I left it. And I did some cameos for all three of them and had a lot of fun. Fans had fun kind of finding where's Waldo in the movies. So pass the baton to James, and I think he did a great job.
Thank you.
I just want to take a second and say the last Starfighter. That's it.
Like, wow. Yeah. So anyway, my question is for Nick and James. With Halloween 2018, it being 40 years later, was there a process or a conversation between you two where you kind of discussed like where Michael was, or was he just completely dormant? Because like with Nick, your Michael was very much he stalks and then he kills, and James, you kind of got that unleash like the beast of Michael, especially with kills, like really how he kills. So I was just kind of wondering, what was that process, or did that conversation happen when you discussed like where Michael was as a character, even though we like to keep it in mystery?
Nick and I are very good friends. I mean, we travel together. We're very, very good friends. I count myself incredibly fortunate as such a talented and seriously deep human being and a friend. We have never once spoken about the character. We talk about lots of other fun things.
Like what?
That Nick Castle wears.
And you invited them at his table. Doug's table. You just go up and the used ones on.
I'm sorry, I jumped in on Nick. Well, as far as, I think what you're talking about is what happened between the 40 years. I mean, he was in Smith's Grove or one of those places. Hey, we're around here, aren't we? Hey, Smith's Grove people. Yeah. Well, he was in that insane asylum that they had to see. So, and they didn't talk a lot about what he was like, but I assume from what I either read or just imagined was that he was in the same kind of catatonic state that he was when he was a kid and went through all those years. I was also thinking that that's maybe where they should have gone in the interim 4 years between kills and ends. That he just went, maybe he was in that, in that catatonic state. Somehow beating him. Maybe that soon. Barbecue rat.
Thank you.
Honored to meet y'all. Seriously. I'm like probably one of the biggest fans. Well, actually, probably not.
He looks like he weighed about 135 pounds.
So I had a question for you. What was one of the prosthetics that Chris was putting on you that you kind of just break getting it on and taking it off every day?
I didn't dread anything because it's part of the creative process, and you know, like, and I think I speak for all of us up here. You can't do this and not be all in, you know. And so, like, whatever it is, we chose to be in this position. So at that point in the game, whatever it is demanded of us, whether discomfort we have to experience, it's part of the deal. Now, what really sucked was wearing the eye prosthetic, because by the end of the movie, 2018, I had such a bad eye infection because my eye was constantly covered. You know, there's all the glue and the, you know, and the fumes from the prosthetic, the fact that I couldn't move the eye. So that was it was not comfortable, and every iteration of how they tried to fix it didn't help. And so that was something going into Kills and I noticed that to deal with, but it's a small price to pay. You know what I mean? And so what you do is whatever discomfort or pain you're feeling from, you know, the experience, you just apply that to the character. You apply that to what you do. You know, it's like there's no room for snowflakes in filmmaking. You know, you gotta you know, go up and do your work.
Absolutely. So Nick, since you've and featuring the cameos, do you feel like it was almost like nostalgia to you? Like, just coming back and doing like a little short cameo. I know that James over here was doing all of it basically.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
Didn't I do most of it? No, I didn't do any of it. There was a point when we were annoyed about it, when the studio at the beginning of 2018 when we were rolling out the thing. They thought it would be fun. No, they knew that bringing me back, obviously, you know, some of the other characters back, like Jamie, but even my little part, that would help promote the movie, you know. So they wanted to keep it a mystery how much I was in it, so that you know I could roll out and go out and do promotion with James. But then it got like, you know, all I did was that one lousy shot, and it got to be confusing. People kept asking us, and we wanted them. We weren't allowed to. We wanted them to say exactly what it was, because I didn't think it was fair for this first of all. So that was an issue that we dealt with during the course of this.
Yeah, to that, you know, when in Halloween Kills, they Universal Blumhouse Publicity put out to the LA Times and all these publications that Nick was back and they didn't mention. And Nick got so pissed off, all of us were retracted. And then finally we realized that it was so big. It's like they just really disrespectful to Nick and myself. But you know what? We're big boys. You know, it's part of the deal. People aren't always going to be nice. People aren't always going to be honest. You know, wow, welcome to the real world. You know, so the fact is that we know what we did. We're proud of the work we did. It was really beautiful. The scene that Nick and I got, and we were hoping that we would get an actual passing of the baton, passing of the torch. And in Halloween 2018. We were so happy because Nick got to, it was in the opening of the scene where he's up in the window and Laurie Strode rides up and sees him up on a long shot. But and in the tight shot in the mirror, that's me when the projectile is fired from the back of the head. So we got to embody the same scene. So spiritually, there was truly a passing of the, you know, mythological torch from the Alpha to the Omega.
But also, that is in answering your question, yes, it was all about nostalgia for me. I had so much fun, you know. And the people on the set would bow to me and things. It was just really fun, really silly. When I first got there, I saw Jamie across the lot. She saw me and she screamed. And we both ran together. It was like a, you know, commercial for something. We embraced each other, and we've seen each other since. But she just looked at me and says, "It's nuts," or what, you know. Just the idea, you know, just coming back and doing this again as the characters was pretty interesting. And the idea that they made it into a hit, you know, that first, especially that first one, was a testament, I think, to the story and the characters and how much you guys love bringing back this guy.
All right, thank you.
Hello. When how much character work goes into portrayals of these characters. You know, with some it's guy in suit, others there's, you know, a little more depth and things like that. So I was interested in the process of that. Also, for acting, Snyder film price where you just like to do the damn thing. Yeah, you're acting.
I did study at Tisch School of the Arts at NYU, and I'm from the Lee Strasberg school. So for me, it is a big process. I take it very seriously. Creating a character is beautiful from origin to, you know, watching the evolution and creating it with the director. It's usually a different process depending on the team that surrounds you and what film it is. Like Terrifier was, it was so much fun working with Damien Leone, even though it was just a quick cameo. We had a lot of fun on that set, and it's a ball. It's really fun creating these beautiful characters and certainly deciding what their backstory is and just who they are. It's wonderful.
I've never had an acting lesson in my life. I'm just saying it shows. See, they've changed my life in about 1969 when I blacked my way being in school play, or in fact high school in Liverpool. I was told to report to rehearsals, which I duly did, and my fellow cast members, which included a fellow by the name of Clive Barker. And that was the day that changed my life. After school and university, we started doing crazy stuff and all stuff of our own. Long story short, we were a mine company in the middle of the decade. We were not by the end of the decade. We moved down to London and formed a dog company doing original plays like Clark, which included a brilliant play called The History of the Decade, which I played the Evelyn very off stage, huge role. Somewhere in the middle of it, I thought, I think now I've been doing this for a decade. I guess this is what I'm going to do. And I suppose at that point, the dog company came to a natural conclusion around 1982. And Clive was at that point giving me handwritten manuscripts of short stories in plastic shopping bags. He carried his world in plastic shopping bags. Have a look at these and tell me what you think. So I'm trying to write a few short horror stories to see if I can make them up. Those stories, all of them ended up in books of blood. So that worked. And I kind of thought, what do I do now? Do I stop? Do I go to theatre school now? I was arrogant enough to think I knew what I was doing, having made my mistakes in life and learned on the job. And so that was what happened. I left an equity card, a fellow member of the dog company. We pretended to be a comedy tour. The most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. We manipulated a few contracts, but actually the point was British equity at the time included the Variety Artists Federation. Because otherwise you got caught in that ridiculous catch-22. You get a job without an equity card, you get an equity card without a job. So we put together 5 contracts and became members of equity as variety artists. And I was working in my theatre in the UK. And in 1985, I was having a conversation with him and said, oh, by the way, I'm trying to put together a low budget independent British horror movie. And I think there might be a part of it for you. That was the first time that Hellraiser and Pinhead. I signed up once for an acting class at the Actors Centre in London with Patrick Stewart. Long before Star Trek came into his life, only because it was Patrick Stewart. Because I worshipped him, he was a mainstay of the Shakespeare company. And I turned up having mucked up with my head before. And they told us that Patrick's filming schedule had been changed. Also, Patrick said it didn't work. Therefore, I'm a magpie. I pick up whatever I can. I glean whatever. I think because I spent so many years in theatre, I'm certainly not from this character through the day. In theatre, you get used to the fact that you come off stage and that stops. And you talk about football scores, English football scores, with why would you want to talk about American football? And start a campaign now to rebrand it as throwball. Soccer called football. And you do that, and then you all doesn't bounce properly. So you're having that conversation, and then when you cross that line, bang. So yeah, I'm not that kind of actor. When we cut, that's complicated. When you've got that makeup on your head, because you can't put it down, you can't walk away from it. And that's, people ask me about this, and I always say when you're in front of the camera and you work, you don't think about it. It's never a problem. Not a problem. James said it's absolutely right. It's part of what you sign up for. I always call the makeup process the commute. You may not like it, but if you want to go to work, you don't have a choice. It's the hours in between. You cannot settle. You want to just take that head off. I'll be back a bit later. And we'll do this again. Now, I'm really calm. People don't relate to you as you. And I became a nomad, wandering around. Because I wasn't good at being on my own. I wasn't good at being around people. I discovered somebody else rather than working with them. I did exactly the same thing. He said to me, oh God, I wandered round the soundstage on my own. As far as research goes, kind of difficult when you're playing a Cenobite. As far as I know, there's nowhere I could go to Cenobites work, or research the history of Cenobites or anything like that. Plenty of the houses on Tory benches. We won't wander into that. Yes. So it all happens in your head. There's nowhere else for it to happen. All the normal questions you might ask yourself is, I feel like, what breakfast cereal do I eat? Do I prefer American football or baseball or ice hockey or basketball, whatever it doesn't matter. I had Clive talk to, and a copy of Piercing Fans International Quarterly that he gave me to look at, which was, remember that this was long in the days before body modification was as common as it is and familiar as it is now. This was a magazine devoted to people slicing and dicing every inch of their anatomy. And I mean what I say very literally. So there was that, and then the final piece of the jigsaw puzzle was when we screen tested the makeup. Sitting in front of the mirror on my own, staring at this thing. What? All these senses coming back out of the mirror very quickly. It happens very fast. Power, majesty, melancholy, weakness, pain, indifference, contempt, an awful lot of things. And I found what I was doing with 20 minutes in the makeup chair, staring in the mirror. Apart from that, it's read script, and then the rest I'm wearing contact lenses. They're very dark, not made to my prescription, so I can't see anything. I couldn't see my marks. I couldn't see the camera. They rolled up the hem of my skirt because I kept tripping over it, putting clothes pegs on it. So all my sense of majesty was gone. Clothes pegs around. I discovered pinheads slowly, so I wouldn't trip over the stairs. Through that humiliation, it's kind of a variation of Islam. The foot goes forward, and kicks the skirt out, and the next became a slow motion dance. You stand on your marks, and somebody says action, and that's it. There's no way back. Switch flips in your head, and off you go. I also found it amusing when I came to Hellraiser the first time I shot Hellraiser in this country. Assistant directors called me Pinhead, and I would say, please call me. And they would apologize. Oh well, and I realized, okay, you're not used to doing that. Everybody gets called by their character, which I found strange, and that's partly because people like to stay in the character for the day. I was told, you should tell school, but why not? That Daniel Day-Lewis, when he was making Lincoln, would only answer to Mr. President. Yeah. But would have had a problem, it seemed to me, because if I refused to respond to that, I'd also refuse to respond to Pinhead, because he does not have a name. And that would have created a bit of a problem in terms of requesting me to go to set. Because I would ignore that and I would ignore Pinhead. So, but anyway, I answered to both.
Mr. Yeah, I'm pretty much from your school, I guess you could say. I was not formally trained as an actor either. I just grew up doing stage work, a lot of community theater. I did a lot of children's theater. And I had an elementary education. I went to college to be a school teacher. Side, and I was one day after my mom passed away, and I was going through a lot of stuff, and I was doing all the silly voices for students, and I had that ability that I was getting more enjoyment out of entertaining my students than teaching them, and this is what I should do with my life. So I decided to finish up my degree and move to New York City and become an actor. But in the meantime, I just kept doing community theater because my school was not really school. My school was the stage. I learned from watching the actors that came before me that had more experience than I. So I'm like a human sponge. I like pie. I like what you said. That's exactly what I am. I'm always taking little bits and pieces from everybody I watch, from who I share the stage with, who I share the screen with, to all the people I've watched in movies throughout my whole entire life. So when this opportunity to play art came around, that's what I did. Fortunately, I had someone that had played the character before me, Mike Gianelli, who played him in All Hallows Eve, who wasn't an actor either, just Amy's best friend. That you like, hey, you want to play this character? Okay, sure. So I had that, that starting place to go with, but I wanted to add more of the clowning aspect to art, because the original version art was like just a guy dressed up like a clown. I wanted to add more of that personality, that charisma character. And so I just took what I knew great silent film actors, great physical comedians like Ron Atkinson, Mr. Bean, certain stuff, Jones, Jim Carrey, Charlie Chaplin, all of those legends that came before me, and took my love of great horror villains as well. Like I said, put them into art. And of course, a little bit of Joker in there too. If I put a smile on my face. But and that's what I did. And I also one thing I always did too. I learned this from one of my directors back in college. When I did Jungle Book, she wanted us to we played our characters as human beings. In the urban jungle, but we had animal characteristics, and I liked how our approach was. So I played a vulture. So a lot of characters I've played since then, I could find who that character is as an animal. And again, art was a vulture. And so I wanted to add that whole, when he's, hunting everything's the eyes is how animals play, especially birds of prey art. Everything starts with the eyes, and then they leave that way. They end up being, it's perfect for a vulture. And so I did that, and that's how art came to be. And I'm fortunate to have a great director that allowed me to just experiment and play. Being such an actor-friendly director, he has his great ideas. He's such a brilliant mind that man has for horror, because he is a lifelong horror fan. This is his bread and butter. He loves this. So that was his thing. I was a comedy guy. I always did comedy, and we just work so well. And we're always working with each other and bouncing ideas off each other. So we would have different versions of the scenes we do. Sometimes I just do straight laced scary. Other times I'll just play around and see what you come up with. So when I'm just making all the little faces and everything in the first film, career scene, you just let the camera roll for 5 minutes. Forgot the camera was rolling because I'm just sitting there goofing around. He's like, oh crap, oh yeah, cut. Enough. Yeah, I think we have a whole movie here. But that's just how it is. It's fun being able to have that, because I've had directors on stage that would micro-direct everything I would do for every little head turnout, and I hated that because I didn't feel like I could bring my own thing to it. Damien is that great balance of both. He knows what he wants, but he also is willing to work with you and experiment. But as for method acting, I don't do that either, and I think my co-stars are very grateful for that. No, I do like to play pranks all the time, especially to scare people on set. And I risk my life going to America to play Sienna because she has a black belt and she's a kickboxing instructor. So I was risking my life. I like to sneak up behind her and scare her all the time and stand there, and she turns around. I'm like, but right. I think it comes from my stage days. I would sometimes have to play multiple characters in the show, and twice I've done this one show called The 39 Steps, which is based on an old Alfred Hitchcock film. And both times I played one of the clowns in that. The clowns play over 30 characters in the show. So I played over 60 characters in this show. And I would have to sometimes have arguments with myself on stage. So I'd have to be able to just change characters just like that, back and forth. And so that's what I'm used to. I don't have to stay in the character the whole entire time. As soon as they say rolling, I become Art. They say, okay, cut. I'm back. Oh my God, are you okay? I didn't hear you, did I? And I started with some voices. So,
Thank you.
The great story of this is Marathon Man. Dustin Hoffman and Lawrence Olivier, who have not been well, who have been nearly dead, not very well. And they're about to do the dentist. And Hoffman wants to be out of breath. So everybody stands on set, including Olivier, waiting, ready to go, while Dustin ran round the lot 3 or 4 times, so that when he arrived, he wasn't acting out of breath. He was out of breath, which led to the extremely patient Sir Laurence Olivier famously opining, boy is clearly very talented. Why doesn't he just try acting?
And with that, I'm going to be the real villain. I am so sorry we have to flip the room. Please give it up for the best set of villains in history right here. Thank you all so much. Thank you. They will be here all weekend. Go to their table, see them, say hi. We appreciate it. Lexington, give it up. Yeah!